Hello, my name is Travis, and I'm creating the Easy Progeny service. It's intended to allow small farms with medium animals to access their big data. When I signed up for venture creation, I didn't have a plan, nor a problem to solve. So I looked at the people around me and saw if they had a problem that I could solve. The core problem that I want to address for venture creation is the lack of time and data management in the agriculture sector, at least for small to medium sized farms. Most farms have a plethora of data being produced, but nothing being done to utilize it. The currently available solutions have clunky user interfaces, require manually writing down the data, or are simply trying to remember what was done and when. These methods quickly get out of hand when the number of animals being managed grows. The average Canadian herd size is about 69 cows, and each cow creates quite a bit of data. Once farmers stumble in their management system, they may never really get caught up without ignoring some events. This loss of data can lead to some unforeseen complications in the future, but data retention is just a bonus. The opportunity I will be seizing consists mainly of these three parts. The generation that grew up with computers and smartphones is now entering the agriculture industry. Even if they don't officially own their animals, most teen farmers already manage a few head of their chosen animal. This sets the stage for technological adoption to increase because the percent of farmers that are hesitant against or are lacking the knowledge to use tech solutions is quickly decreasing. More and more farmers are using technologies to make their lives easier, whether it be automatic milking with dairy robots, or feeding systems, or even the nutrition trackers for beef. Technology is being used by farmers more and more every day. Considering that most of the world eats meat regularly, the global market for an application that makes farmers' lives easier is quite large. The main holdup for global expansion will be the language barrier entry to most countries, although starting in English does make it easier. To compound this expansion, the competitors' projects all have one flaw or another. More on that later. So, what is the solution? Consider the widespread use of smartphones and their portable nature. They make a prime target for giving farmers an interface to their data. An app with an emphasis on its ease of use will be the foundation for this solution. One of the biggest drawbacks of alternative solutions is the maintenance and entry of data. So whenever possible, this solution will autofill or suggest the entry. Given the nature of husbandry, this isn't very hard to accomplish, so it will be a big advantage over the competitors that don't currently automate as much as possible. A big time saver this app will provide is the daily or weekly notification of what needs to be done. The frequency can be customized, but the benefits will appear no matter what. A key function will be user accessibility for multiple users, because no farm is managed solo. Allowing multiple users to access a farm's data can allow family farms to spread the responsibility around easily. Reiterating the ease of use, the app will be minimalist, as it is easy to get lost in the clutter of most applications. We want to avoid that. The aesthetic should be simple and yet stylized to appeal to users that like the premium feel in their software. Perhaps the most important focus is the any device appeal. The app will be available natively on almost all devices, be it Apple, Android, or Windows. Having a web solution is also ideal, because even if a device can't support the app natively, the system will still be accessible from any current web browser. This opens up a lot of opportunities. An emphasis on reliability just compounds on ease of use. Any app that constantly has errors cannot be successful. And finally, the key to the app is intertwining the animal and their data, allowing a comprehensive history of medical, nutritional, and life data that can also be transferred and archived when an animal is sold. At its core, Easy Progeny is a data management app aimed at livestock farmers, initially targeting cows, but it will ideally be useful for any livestock with a steady pregnancy cycle. As mentioned previously, the app will need to be minimalist, and this extends past the colors. The interface itself will be as minimal as possible, with clear directions for a pleasant user experience. A big part of this is the semi-autonomous entry and generation of data. This can be accomplished by uploading the data provided by any livestock association, of which there are many, usually in the form of a downloadable spreadsheet or a manually created spreadsheet the user has created to manage their herd. It extends past that, though, and attempts to predict entries. For example, if a cow is pregnant, on the due date the app will create an entry for the new calf, pre-filling as much data as possible. I plan to tackle a few issues after the app launches, but it's important that it remains modular. By that, I mean that the user only needs to see the features that they use. so any feature will have a toggle option in the app settings. The top-level breakdown currently includes the Progeny tracking and financials features, as well as the Progeny matrix. The tracking feature will be responsible for notifications provided on their selected basis. They will include most of the important dates and upcoming tasks that need to be completed that day or that week. The financials portion will focus more on what each animal has cost or will need to generate a profit or break even. The Progeny matrix is more of a supplemental feature that will allow the user to view the ancestry of each animal with a breakdown of their offspring and the financials generated from it. Now seems to be a good time to be a small-time app developer. The startup costs relating to this venture are minimal. Seeing as I will be providing the labor in the form of developing, the major cost associated with development is nullified. So that makes the cost breakdown easier to estimate. Our distribution channels are mostly simple. The app will be provided on the iOS Store, the Google Play Store, and via the website. Apple charges $99 USD annually to upload apps to the App Store. And although it previously claimed 30%, they recently cut that in half to 15% of revenue for small-time app developers making less than $1 million annually. The Google breakdown is similar, but the upload cost is a one-time fee, lifetime fee of $25 USD, and then the same 15% of revenue for small-time developers like myself. The sunk cost so far into this venture is occupied by the web hosting portion. It costs about $10 USD to register the domain and $180 USD for 3 years of hosting. This cost will be offset by freelancing web design and hosting. The last cost isn't necessary, but will provide the aesthetics of the app. Hiring a graphic designer to create some simple background and icon artwork will cost roughly $100 USD for the essentials. Given the nature of solo app development, this project carries pretty low risk. The investment consists of labor, graphics, distribution, and advertising. All of these are low cost, and each should increase the potential revenue of the app. Like most people, the target market are hesitant to pay a subscription for an app that they may not use for the full period. This is the biggest risk facing the app, but it can also be mitigated by adopting a freemium model with ads displayed in the app unless the user pays to remove them. User retention is also a huge risk, as many people may be discouraged from consistent use of the app. To ensure the user retention stays at an acceptable rate, there's a generous free trial period for people to try the service before they commit. And leaving a review on the App Store or the website will actually add free time. Because the app is used to track something that most farmers do year-round, sustainability should not prove to be much of an issue. With the selected subscription model, there's a steady flow of revenue year-round for most farms. This can be made more sustainable by implementing subscription bundles that are commonplace nowadays, such as a $1 per month discount for subscribing for 12 months at a time. The farmers that focus mainly on quality will be three-quarter users, in that they mainly use the app for 9 months of the year, from mid-March to mid-January. The app will be more sustainable once the users have been using it for a while, because they get used to using it and invest more time. They will be less likely to cancel their subscription. The targeted market segment is farmers aged 20 to 50, and seeing as the average age for a farmer is about 55, this segment makes up around 50% of farmers. This age range is also the most likely to adopt new technology. In terms of the mobile app, the phone distribution is about 11% Apple and 87% Android. That's a lot of devices, but it's hard to find data on which operating systems farmers use specifically, because it most likely follows the population data. The core benefit of the any device methodology is that it opens up the use of web browsers to access the system. This will ensure that even if the user has an outdated phone or none at all, they can still use the app via any web browser, even on their phones. In terms of advertising, the main sources will be provided via Google and Facebook ads because they allow accurate targeting of the selected market segment. The rest will be conducted through the grapevine and by sponsoring and demonstrating at agricultural events such as fairs or rodeos. It's difficult to find most of the competition out there, but that's maybe just a marketing issue. These seem to be the most similar to what I'm trying to create. Moocall sells physical devices that are attached to cows. Their app functions well and is free, but it doesn't function without a physical device. The devices are per cow, and they cost hundreds of dollars each. Not to mention that they are hard to acquire as there are only 4 distributors in North America. Rancher is the closest alternative to Easy Progeny, but it suffers from the same shortfalls of the others in that it is tedious and cumbersome to enter and manage the data. Milking Cloud has a clean interface, but its main focus is on dairy cattle, and it costs about $13 USD monthly for just the starter plan, which is pretty limited. These last two are free solutions, but they tend to be clunky, hard to use, and they enforce all data for a cow is entered manually, including things like the age, even though the birth date is also entered. My main advantage for this venture is probably my familial connections and last name. My family is rather active in many parts of the agricultural industry, and they have many connections to people all over North America. This will allow the word of mouth marketing to get started at a sprint, and will also be an easy in for sponsoring and demonstrating at agricultural events. The low cost of free can't be beat, but given the app's quality and scope, the pricing is very competitive when looking at the alternatives. The main complaint I heard from my initial probes of interest was that the competitors' solutions were very hard to use and took forever to set up. My solution makes data entry easy, and in some cases, it eliminates it entirely. It also has the predictive features. Those are a nice bonus. The main reason to use the app is for the time saving and data retention benefits. Daily or weekly notifications make it easy to stay on top of tasks, and allowing the users to transfer their data gives them a stronger selling point for their animals. It comes with the history. That's where the intertwining comes in. So now that we've covered the business aspects, how about we sneak a peek at the app? There isn't too much going on here, but basically it's a screenshot of the home screen. We can see that there's the announcements tab, which is, that's where it's going to list all the notifications and maybe redirect to a calendar for the daily activities and the weekly activities. Then we have the highlights, the favorites, and most importantly, the settings. That's where you can toggle off and on all the options. And then right at the bottom, there's the view herd, and that's where it's going to redirect into all of the cattle associated with the user's herd. I've also went ahead and purchased the domain easyprogeny.com, and I'm working on setting up the website for that. That's also where the database is going to be hosted to hold the user's data so that it can be accessed from any of the devices. Thank you for listening to my presentation.